We working. People come in, they come to see. Yeah.
Ready to do our show.
Let me go get the other comment.
It's my understanding that those creating the budget proposal had already planned how to address maintenance needs without hiring additional maintenance staff. So how can you justify your choice? I think you've made a mistake, and I'm asking you to reconsider. Please find a way to hire the programmer position. Thanks.
Thank you, Stacy. Next is John Case.
All right, well, she was nice. She got all the niceties. Can you hear me, Roger?
I can hear you.
All right. My name is John Case. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm a 68-year-old veteran of Mills River. The accomplishments in the rec department, all you gotta do is look out the door. We appreciate your help. And we just think you made a wrong decision. Now, the group that I'm with, Recreation Committee, is a fantastic group. They're a team concept group. They're a survey group. They talk to the people. All right, we had it where there's 90% of the survey on the activities. Now, I've been a planner before at Kimberly Clark, one of the roughest jobs I had. But, as my great granddaddy used to say, don't put a horse with a mule. It'll kill the horse. Because the horse, which is her, is worked to death. She's got passion for her job. She knows it, forwards and backwards. Now, as the survey goes, 90% wanted the activities. A lot of y'all ain't as old as me. I need activities. If nothing else, just a place to go. And that's what the people want. Now, you approve the budget for one, which is fine and dandy. But don't backtrack and go buy a lawnmower and a maintenance man with the same money we're supposed to have. That's wrong. And you know it's wrong. That's like U.S. government spending your Social Security money any way they want. You don't like it. So, in order for our voices to be legitimate in the Recreation Committee, we need to have that planner. And y'all can dip in the kitty or go up on taxes next year, which people will know if you need it, you gotta have it, that's fine and dandy. But don't take our money first. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Amina Zia.
Hi everyone, I'm Amina and this is Lana. Lana is here because she loves our park. My name is Amina Zia and today I'm going to read a letter on behalf of the Mills River Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Dear members of Mills River Town Council, thank you for your commitment to Parks and Recreation and especially for the support of the Mills River Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Each of you have offered insightful value and guidance through the process. We are very appreciative of your continued support. We know that parks are special places in communities because they provide contact with natural and social environment and help us to establish a feeling of belonging, form social ties, and become more civic-minded. Our Mills River parks are one of the most favored amenities in our town and are frequented by residents of all ages. When asked in the Mills River Town Planning Survey, 95% of residents clearly expressed a need for parks and recreation programming. Our residents have indicated their interest and the growing need in our community for programming activities. Our residents have indicated their interest in growing. These are identified as activities that are generated with the purpose to increase positive use of the park through recreational offerings, tours, exhibits, community gardens, and special events. Incorporating programming into our park environment will reinforce the interconnection between use and safety. It will promote health and wellness in our community, and it will allow our residents to interact with each other. We would like to re-emphasize that we feel that this would greatly benefit our community and address the aspirations of our fellow residents. We recommend a position to be created and funded to implement the desires of the residents of Mills River. Research shows us that access to outdoor resources improves physical and psychological health, reduces crime, and promotes a healthy, balanced sense of community. Researchers also published reports on childhood development and nature programming, and found that recreational programming is especially important in promoting physical health in children because spending time outdoors in a positive way contributes to the social, to the emotional, mental, and educational development of children of all ages. And similarly, other studies, specifically by the National Recreation and Park Association, shows us that programming that is structured, programming that is intentional, well-designed, can help adolescents build a sense of autonomy, positive social relationships, and learn conflict resolution and help in both academic success and identity development that leads to the development of our next generation of service learners. Therefore, keeping all these things in mind, we would like to re-emphasize the need for programming that has been voiced by the people of Mills River for activities. And as representatives of the people, we humbly request a review of the council's decision to consider facilitating the programmer position as initially recommended by the Parks Committee. Thank you for your consideration, and we remain available for you for any further inquiries. Sincerely, the Mills River Parks and Recreational Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Amelia.
Thank you.
Here, take the whole thing.
Oh.
Go get you one more.
Thank you.
Go ahead. It's okay.
I wanted to go to bed at night.
You'll be up all night.
All right, and last we have Jim Foster.
Okay. I'm Jim Foster. As most of you know, I have served on the planning board for, I think, close to 9 years. And for the past 2 years, I was also on the steering committee for the new comprehensive plan for Mills Road. During that time, several surveys were conducted to get the feel of what Mills River residents wanted for the town. One thing that kept coming up was activities for older residents. I think that most of you know there already exists in Mills River a group called MRLAC, which stands for Mills River Life Enrichment Center. What you may not know that this group has been in operation for about 13 years in Mills River. Although they meet at Mills River Methodist Church Fellowship Hall every Thursday, they are not part of Mills River Methodist. They are a 501c3 charitable organization. Each Thursday they meet starting at 10 a.m. and fellowship for a while, and during this time, blood pressure screenings and chair exercises are performed. Then a program is presented, sometimes entertainment and sometimes medical and other information relative to this age group, and they finish each Thursday with a great meal for the participants. There is no charge for this program. They do accept donations, which are tax deductible, and in the past, I think they have received grants from organizations like the Duke Foundation. I'm not directly affiliated with them, although I have performed there on several occasions over the years, and I do know that there's a substantial group from my neighborhood across the road that participates on a regular basis. They usually have a large attendance, but have been somewhat hampered by the past 12 months due to the COVID thing. But they have managed to survive, and I attended this morning, and it looks like things are getting back to normal. I might add that they operate with a large group of volunteers and only have one paid employee, a person. I know that council recently approved a small donation to this effort, which I don't know if it's been dispersed or not. And since this is something that a large number of Mills River residents would like to see and has proven to be a success, I would like to ask council to consider, first of all, trying to find a way to increase their participation in this. One way I would like to see is if a part of the 2.1 million stimulus money that is coming soon could be dedicated to forming a public-private partnership to expand and continue this already successful operation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, that is our public comment. The consent agenda, are there questions, changes, or motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, regular agenda. Item A, we have Visitor Center Director Michelle Owens. Welcome.
Hi, yeah, I'm Michelle Owens, the new Henderson County Tourism Development Authority Director. That's my official title. And I'm just coming here informally and briefly to say hello. I've been on a bit of a listening tour since I started about 30 seconds ago, actually about a month ago. The biggest reason is I am not originally from Henderson County, although I've spent a lot of time here, particularly most recently in Mills River. I cannot count In fact, I was talking to one of my daughters last night, how many times did we camp at North Mills River Campground? And I cannot tell you how many times. When I was the director of Rutherford County, this is where we came to get away. And fell in love with it myself. So right now, here in the beginning, obviously, as you're discussing your plans for the future as well, clearly this is an area that is growing all across the county. And my job in tourism is to make sure it grows responsibly and well and for the benefit of the community as much as possible. We can't control all things, but we do market the county and how we talk about it and what we want to have. To build that marketing plan, that's why I'm on this listening tour. And to that end, you may have heard we are doing a survey and it's running until July 1. And I ran out of cards earlier today on my little tour. I hand you one. But if you go to our website and /survey, you can find the survey. It takes about 10 minutes. We want as many Henderson County residents to take it. What we're largely interested in is what do you know of the TDA? What do you think we do? Do you think we do a good job, a bad job? And also, what do you think of the place you live? Because we want to talk about the things that you love about it so that we can try to match the visitors with what we already love here. One of the great dangers of tourism, for all of its many benefits to tax bases and businesses, is you can, I use the term overfish an area, and you can overcrowd it. And you don't want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. So it's a fine balance, and we want to try to find it as we chart our path forward. And so I'm just here to say hello, let you know where I am. My email is director@visithendersonvillenc.org. And feel free, please, to reach out to me anytime. Would love to meet with any of you. Any thoughts on the matter now or in the future? And please take the survey. And that's really it, just to say hello. Thank you.
Next agenda item, we have a letter from the Agricultural Advisory Committee. Received from the committee.
My name is Mike Horn, and I guarantee I'm speaking by default. Herbie Johnson was supposed to do this presentation, and he gave a very good one to the Ag Advisory Committee. What we're basically asking for is support of Mills River Farmers Market to be moved to this location. We think it's a good place. I mean, it would combine all the park, the walking trails, and the farmers market would be a good thing for people to come see and be a part of it. So we would like to ask you to consider that, both financially, and Daniel suggested there might be a place here that it could be worked out where it could be located here. So thank you.
I'll just add to that. Last couple of meetings with the Agriculture Advisory Committee, we spent a lot of time discussing the Mills River Farm Market. In particular, this year, Joe and Linda Britton run the market essentially, and keep it on its feet. And they're having some scheduling issues this year. So what we talked about is finding a way to support the market longer term. This year, they seem to be, able to get by with what they've got. They're already set up for the well established. So thinking longer term, maybe in the next year, how we can begin to support them either financially or hosting them, giving them a site where they can leave their trailers. That's one of the bigger challenges right now is logistics, moving trailers back and forth. So there is tremendous support from the Agriculture Advisory Committee. I'm glad it's generally here tonight. And I'm happy to answer questions you might have.
So did I hear you correctly? If they're okay for this year, so this would be a problem for next year.
They are, I think that they are, I don't want to speak for the market, but from my conversations, they're establishing at the school this year. And so the only major concern that they have at this point is being able to get a trailer from their property to the school each weekend. Because that's what has the restaurant on, that's what has their demonstration kitchen, the baby candy station, all that. So I have offered to help if they need that. If someone's unavailable to pull it, I'm sure some of you find folks pick up trucks might want to volunteer as well. But yeah, so I think they're okay in terms of their operations this year. It's something that we would need to look at for next year.
Just just a little bit of history is that probably 15 years ago, maybe even longer, is that the town established the Mills River Farmers Market. And so I can't remember who the first guy was. Wayne, do you remember? Old age now.
Paul Schumacher?
Who?
Paul Schumacher?
No, lives on Schoolhouse Road behind Bradley. And anyway, is that the town originally gave them, I think it's $500 seed money to get going. Now, I am a big supporter of the farmers group. I really am. Is that I drove by there Saturday and while I was in the truck, driving down the road, I think there's like 15 canopies that I could count just driving. I did not get out and walk. But I think that the council needs to consider the future of the farmers market. Is that I'd like to see it keep going. So how do we get from point A to point B?
So this year, we supported the farmer's market to $3,100.
For the trade?
No, the trade was last year.
Oh, okay, sorry.
This year was
This year was the health fair, Appalachian Growing Farmers Market, the customer appreciation sign and stuff.
Yeah, it's really going to be on the entrepreneurship.
So, and Mr. Brenton was the one that came forward and requested this money. So if he is not going to be involved with the farmers market, are these programs that we are donating this money for, are they going to be available? to
I've
the
not had that
farmers
conversation
market?
with them. We certainly have that conversation.
I think it would probably be a good idea.
I just want to comment on the fact that I really appreciated this letter that came from the Ag Advisory Committee. And I appreciate your dedication to the farmers market in Mills River. And it's my belief that that farmers market is one of the best things we have going in this town. You stop by there any Saturday, there are terrific vendors there, local products. Farmers are able to sell their products at a good price. I've taken people from out of town, and they just can't believe what a positive and energetic environment it is. So I would look forward to seeing, as the letter states, some reaction from the Ag Advisory Committee in terms of how we can better support the market going forward, and what a better business plan for the market might be, how we could take that to the next level, so to speak, and ensure it's long-term viability. So I'm very much in favor of supporting the farm market. We've done that in years past. I think we could do that in a way that gives them a permanent location going down the road. So I look forward to advice from the Ag Advisory Committee, and if we on council can provide you with anything as you step into that process, please.
Question? All right, so this is an ongoing project. All right, item C, budget amendments ordinance 2021-12, fiscal year 2020-2021, close the capital project fund.
Back in January of 2020, council set up a capital project fund for the baseball field construction. And it was set up as capital project fund because it was going to be a multi-fiscal year project. As we come near the end of this fiscal year, all of the invoices have been submitted and paid. Ball field is finished, project is finished, and it is the advice of our auditor to go ahead and close it out.
This is step one of that process. Adopting ordinance 2021-12. Which basically just takes funds left over in particular accounts, budget, and gathers it ready to move to the general fund.
So make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2021-12, amending the capital project and budget ordinance for fiscal year 2021.
I'll second.
Second.
Those in favor of adopting the ordinance? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now budget amendments for ordinance 2021-13 through 2021-15 fiscal year 2020-2021.
Okay, the first part of this is that now you would adopt a further ordinance that would essentially accept the funds into your general fund. So that's what that first 2021-13 does. It does essentially increase your budget for this year. But it's $10,179.33. The next piece of this is something you see every year where we adjust the budget near the end of the year in case any of our, because we adopted a departmental budget, if any of our departments need adjusting, whether they're over budget, this is what we do. In this case, it's almost always just the fire department for fire, because tax collections are so high. Because Orly does such a great job. But basically that means that our payments to the fire department exceed what we anticipate for our budget. So this essentially moves funds around to fix that problem. The third piece is something new, the GASB, the Government Accounting Standards Board. They passed a new standard during the fiscal year that says that now all tax penalties and any penalties, if we were to collect any from planning and zoning, they've always been remitted to the school board. But now we have to account for them as revenue and an expenditure in our budget, rather than just as a liability. GASB's goal is to move government accounting closer and closer to private sector accounting. So we have new standards every year. And so on the advice of our accountants, this final ordinance does that, and it's set out separately on purpose. So there's no question that we did this in our budget.
So is this just normal house cleaning?
It's a little more complicated than your normal house cleaning, but yes, this will keep you in compliance with statutes regarding budgeting.
Is it? I'll make a motion to what Sue said.
And basically, you're adopting all three ordinances.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll second. All those in favor of adopting budget amendments 13 through 15, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for making that simple for us. Understandable.
I'm glad I did. I wasn't so sure I was doing that.
All right, next on the regular agenda, we are discussing volunteer committees and board. Anyone give us a little bit of background?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. You'll find in your packet a brief staff report, Mayor, kind of summarizing how we got to where we are this evening. Back in March, council took action to postpone filling any vacancies or approving any reappointments until such time that a good review with boards and committees and examine whether or not we wanted to shift anything around as far as membership, open the door up for more applications for anyone who's willing to serve. We have received a couple of new applications since that time. Of the 5 different committees the town appoints right now, there are a total of 35 seats that are represented. Not all filled at this moment, but a total of 35 seats on the planning board, Parks and Recreation Advisory, Finance Committee, Agriculture Advisory Committee, and Zoning Board of Adjustment. So there are a few standards, or excuse me, boards that are required under state law if you have certain conditions in your ordinance. For example, if we had a historic preservation district, we have to have a board of citizens there, which we don't, so we don't have that board. We do have a planning board, which is a requirement for any town that has some, have a planning board. And then, of course, the Board of Adjustment is there to serve as quasi-judicial sense to hear variances and special use permits and things of that nature. And then also authorized under state law are what are called basically other advisory boards as appropriate. So the council has some raw latitude to set up boards and committees as it would so choose. A couple of them, the planning board and the board of adjustment would require an ordinance amendment if the makeup in terms of number of seats or the purpose and what that was to change. Since they were created by ordinance, it would take an amendment to those ordinances to make any modifications. But that's fairly routine. It's a matter of going through the process to make that happen. And so we're prepared to go through basically review the boards, and if you want to get into the point of people this evening to do that. All the industrial board tell us what you want to do. We have prepared a general outline if you would like to get into appointments and those things of that nature.
So just a couple of questions. I asked this probably several months ago. Can the town council be the board of adjustment?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying, the town council can change their hats and be the board of adjustment. Wow. Moving on to the second part, I made this comment, when this was first brought up, that the agriculture committee, agriculture advisory committee is off of the table.
Okay, yeah, just leave that.
And so I don't know why that got brought back into it. But as far as I'm concerned, is that it's off of the table.
Sure, and it was only included for reference to illustrate which board the town has. There's been no intention.
Okay. Personally, and I'm sure that the other council members have concerns, comments, questions, concerns. I think that we need to deal, does this council want to be the board of adjustment or not? The second thing is that I'd like to see some rules and regulations for committees. And just something that popped in my mind is something like absenteeism. Now, I know that the council don't have no absentee policy, but it's that I think it's important that if the committees, and I'm going to pick on the planning board, is that, well, let me back up. Is that I think on the board of adjustment, the last hearing that they had 4 people. And I think it was what, someone else got to do Zoom thing and
That's right, yeah, so,
the connection was a little screwy and so forth.
yes, they had 5 members present. However, in order for someone to participate remotely, both parties have to agree to it. And at that hearing, one party was in agreement, the other party was not. And so Mr. Edwards was listening to the conversation, but was not able to participate.
Just FYI to add, and yes, council can set any policy they want. Each one of the boards has an individual absentee policy.
Can we see those? Or do we need to make it a standard across the committees? Is that, I don't know.
It's council's choice.
Well, is it, I'm asking a question, but I don't know the answer.
In the past, you've allowed the boards to have their own rules of procedure and their own absentee policy. But since you're reviewing all of this, it is certainly up to council to throw all that out. You already have rules for general procedure, and you can amend it or add to it.
I think for me, I would be in favor of making sure that all boards operate in the same rules and standards. I think that's gonna make it easier for everyone to do and for staff to manage as they go about their duties as well. It's no different than having different sets of rules and everybody got to figure out what those rules are. It's just keep everything simple and across the board. I know we've also talked on this board back and forth about members serving on 2 boards. And whether that's good or bad, that's a discussion that we can have. I guess my concern would be, do we want to give preference to people who are waiting to be on the board? So if there's applications, we have applications from somebody who are serving on the board, and we have applications from people who aren't serving on any board. Should we give preference to those people over people who serve on other boards, or how we need to look at this? And I don't know if there's an answer that I have on that. There's just discussion that I would like to have.
Sounds like we have some general
Question.
guidelines first before we start taking board. So then we have a place to start.
So just for clarification, so we know how to move forward with this to get you what you need. Absenteeism is something we want to be consistent across the board, right?
I see issues with that, like, the ag, it's a sunny Friday morning, they're all in the field.
That's right.
So they can't all get booted off because there's not a lot of ag representatives replacing them.
Right.
So, that one I see a little bit different light than some of the other regulatory boards.
I think they're going to be different anyways because, on the planning board, we require that members live in the town.
Okay, right.
So I think they're going to be an exception. And that's fine.
I guess like everything else, the ag committee's exempt from the rules.
I think that the way
Just like ag, everything is exempt. They're good.
as far as the board of adjustment goes, as long as we have, there's 5 on the board now.
That's right.
There's no option.
That's correct.
But you have to have 4, if there's 4 at a hearing, it has to be unanimous vote.
That's true for a variance.
For a variance.
For a variance, but anything else is a majority.
Okay. So, until we see that we can't fill board of adjustment seats, I'm okay with just leaving board of adjustments alone. Myself. But there may come a time when we have to make that like a subcommittee of the planning board. I saw that was an option for some of the other towns and municipalities around. So until that day comes, I'm okay with just leaving board of adjustment where it's at.
I agree. I think making the council also the board of adjustment is a little sticky because people expect us to represent them. And you don't want to be making decisions. You're supposed to be making our decisions, board of adjustment based on, just facts. And then, we're elected and there's kind of pressure. I just think that's a sticky position to be in.
Okay, with that, I agree with Randy. Is there a way that we could, if the planning board was down a member and another member is going to be out of town, can we set it up so that a person on the planning board can fill in for that? If we know there's a meeting coming up and they're going to have 2 out, can we say, it's the duty of a planning board member, we may call on you to step in to come to that?
Well, one thing I think would be the simplest answer to that would be if you're okay with having people serve on 2 different committees, you can fill your alternate seats on the board of adjustment with planning board members. That way you have 2 people at the ready if something happens.
A subcommittee on the planning board, alternate.
You might keep in mind if you do that our policy has been, as someone drops off the board of adjustment, they would move up to the board. So you may or may not want to allow those alternates to move up just more to throw in the mix.
I'm with you there.
I think we've got, just listening across the table, is that I think we all have some questions. And I think that we need to have those questions answered in our own mind, the absenteeism, and so forth, before we start making appointments. Is that fair?
So what do you need from staff that would help you make a decision on this?
First of all, is that, so as Sue said a minute ago, about each committee has their own rules and absenteeism. Is that right, Sue? Okay. I think Brian Kimball made a point, is that they need to be the same across the board. I agree with it. Now, personally, right this minute, I don't know what those rules are. Is that we may have set those up 15 years ago.
The committees set them up.
You want,
So the committee set them up. Council had no say in those. So if council has something they'd like to see, they can say, we want them to attend this many meetings. If they miss, then whatever happens. And the old policies are gone.
is that I would just like to see some uniformity to it. Whatever the word is.
Uniformity.
Yes, across all the boards, with the exception of the Ag Committee.
Can you give us an example to any board, their policy, anybody know right off?
I'm trying to remember which one this is, but if they miss, if they're scheduled to meet 12 times in a year, and some of them say if you miss more than 3 in a year, then technically they're to make a recommendation to council to have that person removed or not reappointed. Some of them say more than 2 in a row or 3 in a row. I think the finance committees actually has something to do with so many in a year, then they went quarterly to meet, so it doesn't even really apply anymore. And no one has ever used it to come to council and say, look, this person never shows up.
Because probably no one even is aware of their own policy. Possibly.
And that is possible. Council used to get the absentee reports, but hasn't in several years.
So maybe the place to start, this would be a question for Daniel and for the rest of the staff, would be to draft some sample charters for each of the committees. And I'm sure there are examples out there we could draw from and include an absentee policy. I mean, in some ways, I think that setting up a uniform policy across the board might be an attempt to fix something that might not necessarily be broken. I do see Roger's point that consistency is good. On the other hand, any member of any advisory committee serves at the pleasure of council. So if there were a problem with attendance, I'm sure Nicole would, if John wasn't showing up to the
He
meetings,
may have put a report.
Nicole would presumably come and tell us that John's a problem child and there needs to be disciplined, and so we would be doing report with somebody else. I mean, that's the way that it's supposed to work. Whether it works that way or not, I don't know. And that would be the reason why. Exactly. So I'd like to see some sample charters for each group, each board. The other thing, and I want to bring this up for discussion purposes, since this group has a meeting next month, if we decide to push the appointments off just a little bit, the finance committee, Sue's research seems to indicate that towns establish a finance committee when they're first getting started, and it's necessary just to make sure that people are keeping their eyes on the books and that sort of thing. But now we're at a point where we have a finance officer, we have an accountant, we have somebody who audits the works, right? And I'm kind of questioning whether that group is really necessary. There are some really fine people on the finance committee. It's been described to me as kind of light lifting. Again, quarterly. I would throw this out there for discussion, and maybe we should consider dissolving that group and freeing up some of those numbers for other committees, like the Board of Adjustments or committees where they might have some other interests. So I'll throw that out there and see what, I'm very interested in.
Well, finance director and town manager, what is that? What effect would that have for you all?
We meet quarterly, we typically give updates, we always provide a quarterly report. We do take the budget to them each year for their review, and we do make a recommendation to approve that. In terms of the practicalities of it, I would say it's redundant. I'll just walk you through the basic procedure that we were talking about this afternoon. If one of our parks and maintenance guys goes to buy gas for $25, the receipt goes to Nicole first. She turns it into Patty, deputy clerk, to process it through AP. Then it goes to Orly to actually run the financial report. It comes to me for my review and signature. Then it goes to Sue for, or Orly goes back to Orly for printing of the checks. Sue signs the checks, and then Councilman Austin signs the checks as well. So there's a lot of oversight right now. I don't know if we could do more oversight at this point. And we do have an auditor. We have an auditor for the auditor. Sue's in constant communication with them. So from a management point of view, I have no concerns about not having that committee to present things to. It's not providing any additional oversight. That's not all that's happening at this point.
I'm not remembering the almost 4 years, never remember like getting a recommendation to not do something from the finance committee.
Right.
Like nothing's ever come back to council necessarily that we have had to act on.
I went to one of the finance committee meetings, still having it. And then at that time, it was, Daniel was there, and one other person kind of take the minutes and everything. So they decided to, instead of making it burdensome for the manager and another employee to be a manager, change the hours to during the day hours, right? So it's not overly burdensome for the town now to continue to have those meetings. I mean, y'all are gonna be here in town hall anyway, right? Whenever that meeting is going on.
Yes, yeah, we're here. It does take place at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Which was a request that I think that we made, our board might have brought it up. But yes, we did ask for it to happen here today. There's already a number of night meetings. I think graciously agreed with that. So that's what we've been doing now for, I guess, a year or two. But no, to answer your question, because there's so little for them to review, we have to take the time to advertise the meeting, put together an agenda, put together package materials, deliver it to them, and then go over it with them, which is actually work that we don't need to be doing. Like I said, from a management standpoint, I don't see that we're providing benefit in terms of oversight of tax finances. That's happening with, we discussed with personnel and auditors and auditors.
Also, is that who, so on these committees, we'll pick up the planning board, is that who takes notes for each one of these committees? And also, who is in charge of these committees? Is that, I know Orly does the planning board. Sue does the town council. So, is that, you see what I'm asking? Is that?
Yeah.
Is that, who is responsible for these committees?
So we'll just start at council. Sue is going to be responsible for managing the meeting in terms of taking minutes, obviously keeping things on track with the agenda. And she prepares all the packets and makes sure that everything is signed appropriately after the fact, like ordinances, minutes, all that sort of stuff. The mayor is in charge of that meeting. That's the mayor's role to run the meeting. Each of the rest of the committees have staff liaison. So for the Parks Committee, Nicole is the Parks and Rec Director, works with them. They have a board chair. Nicole coordinates with them to put together agendas and minutes, Patty takes minutes of those meetings. And then for the Agriculture Advisory Committee, or Lee is responsible for working with them in terms of getting agendas put together, the materials passed out, and then she takes minutes for those. The Board of Adjustment is a combination of myself and soon to be Mike in terms of preparing agenda materials for that. Sue is responsible for publishing all the notices, and then she actually takes minutes for those meetings as well. For the Finance Committee, Sue and I are always there by default as manager and finance director, and Patty typically takes notes for that. And then the Planning Board, again, combination of Mike and I in terms of working with the chair for agenda preparation, and then the board chair runs the meeting, and we act, we're there to support similar to our role right now. Is that missing? Maybe?
So can we get this on a piece of paper?
Sure.
Okay.
So, Daniel, specifically as regards the finance committee, I heard you use the word redundant. I mean, that's the word that I keep coming back to as well. And I'm also seeing that you're having to spend time sitting on the meetings, preparing packets, sending it out. You've got some of the sticky notes. I mean, if this committee truly is redundant, I mean, I don't see the point. I'm really thinking that we have outgrown the finance committee and that we should, as I said, dissolve it and free those members up for service on the board. I'll put that in a motion.
Well, before you put it in motion, it may be redundant, but the only thing that it's costing us is the public notice. So it's not costing us any more staff time. Is that right, Dan?
No, it's an extra meeting that we prepare for, just like the one.
Okay. So basically, is that it's costing us nickels and dimes.
There's no hard cash investment.
You know what, I'm sorry?
There's no hard cash investment in terms of this, it's staff time, serious.
So before we start eliminating committees, now, the Ag Committee, the Finance Committee, was basically one of the first committees that we ever established. Now, another set of eyes on the books, it's not costing us anything. So why not let them do their job? I mean, it's not hurting us anything. It's not costing us anything. Now, will they eventually will time weed out the finance committee? Probably. But now's not the time to do it. Is that if it was costing us money, yes, okay, then I'm gonna talk about it.
My question is why? Why is it, I mean, we're 18 years into the town. Sue's research indicated that other similar towns of our endurance and size do not have finance committees. We have a finance officer. Daniel described the process by which, I mean, how many hands look at a check before it's issued?
Just the finance committee, they don't do that.
Maybe we need to look at the flow of getting a bill paid instead of looking at the stupid finance committee. Is that my point is this.
Yeah.
I think right now that the finance committee serves a useful purpose. no matter how big or how small, they serve a useful purpose. Now, going back 20 years ago, Sue, was Jimmy the chairman of the finance committee?
You're referring to Jimmy Cowan, he was the chairman. And in those days with one employee, the chairman of the finance committee served as your finance officer.
That's right.
And the committee reviewed large contracts
Right.
and made a lot of recommendations, which none of which they do now.
So so that's how it come about. Well, maybe we need to look at giving them some more responsibility. I know that Sue does a good job. We've got our auditor. Now that we've got, I'm gonna call it a sub-auditor, for lack of better terms. Well, is that you're dealing with taxpayer money. So why not have another set of eyes looking at that? The more eyes that you can see looking at the taxpayer money, the better off you are.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
So right now, the finance, committee, when you take them material, do they see any more granular than what we see in our budget?
No.
So they see,
Well, that's not the rephrase, they do see the.
That's right.
Right.
They see the dashboard, they see an investment schedule, so they're not making recommendations on it. And they see they actually see not the income statement, yes, the income statement and the, I can't think of what I'm looking for, balance sheet.
For example, what are they gonna look at? What are they gonna see at their next meeting? They meet in July.
The quarterly report, and then other materials that Susan mentioned.
they don't, if you go sign a contract or something, do they review that contract with you?
No.
If you write a check to an employee, does the finance committee review that?
No.
Okay. So basically, they're looking at a high level view of what the town's doing, which is the same information the council has or that any person out in the public can do, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was my question.
Sorry, Brian, to interrupt.
All right, back to Brian did have a motion on the table. Was there a second? Brian made a
Oh,
motion
sorry.
to dissolve the finance committee and reappoint those people another place. On the second. Okay. All those in favor of dissolving the finance committee, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Three, two. Now, do we have second choices on all of those? We polled everyone, so they,
Yes, and you did get second choices on everyone. One of your seats is vacant because a term expired during this process. One of your members said that he did not have a second.
so we have now a pool, more people to add to the pool of the other committees.
Yes.
Okay, what else do we want? Is there anything else we want from staff to prepare while we try to figure out how to structure? Or is there something we can check off an easy one? Like size of committees or
That was something.
size of terms? or something?
Size of the planning board now, it stands at
No,
9.
which was the biggest one of all the ones you polled, right?
So I've spoke to a few people and 7 seems like, if there are 7 members that show up constantly, 7 is good enough. So I'd like to see that at 7 myself. I will make the motion. that the planning board goes to 7 members.
I'll second that.
All those in favor of the planning
Oh,
board?
hang on a
Okay,
second.
All right, discussion.
Before we get in to deciding how many people is on the committee, should we know what the rules and regulations are?
I think for me, being coming from the planning board for 9 years and serving as the chairman, that having 9 people on the board, that is a lot. And at times, it doesn't necessarily provide you with anything. I think if you can have 7 really good people on the board, that's a whole lot better fit than having 9. It just gets to be too much when there's 9 on there.
So back to my original question.
Mhm.
Are we going to deal with rules and regulations before we deal with any individual board?
Well, I think that's
I
what
said,
we're doing.
I've got questions on what the absentee policy is, what the rules are, who the staff person is, before we start saying, oh, is that, let's put six, 7, 8 people, whatever, the odd number, on the board of adjustment. I think that will come later after we know what the rules are. At this point, I don't even know what the rules are.
I think that's what we're
This is
starting.
kind of a rule.
You know what I'm saying?
This would be kind of a rule. I mean, kind of the part of the makeup.
Well, before you start putting somebody in the ball game, you gotta know what the rules are.
Having attended great number of planning meetings over the year, I see Brian's point exactly. That 9 members, that's a lot of opinions, it's a lot of noise. It makes for longer meetings, I think, than they need to be. It did appear to me, again, going back to Sue's research, that 7 was a fairly consistent number for most municipalities that she polled. You know, I'm not sure how deep in the weeds we want to get with the rest of the committees. As I said, I'd love to see some sample charters for the different boards, just so we can start to establish some rules for each board. But I'm very comfortable supporting Randy on this issue and resizing the planning board session.
I guess I spoke a little quick on that because it's been 9 years on that board. And trust me, 7, just like Brian said, 7 members that show up and participate in the meeting is much preferred than that. That's just personal experience.
And so we have to modify ordinance.
He said, he said, at some point in time, soon, can we dictate what the number of board members are? After we find out what the rules are?
6 one half dozen the other, I think.
The way I look at it, I don't just see what the rules, how the rules are going to affect the number of people on board.
It could. Is that if you have an applicant and you have rules that says, okay, this is that. In a 6-month time, you can only miss three meetings. Let's just use that example. So if you put 7 people on there, this person is old and gray-headed like me, and they have to take some time off. So now you got 6 people. My point is that before you get behind the wheel of the car and driving down the road, you've got to know what the rules of the road are. Is that you can't drive down the road and figure out the rules as you go.
I think to answer your question, Mr. Kansky, yes, we have to modify an ordinance, which currently says 9 seats. So if you appointed up to 7 until we amend that ordinance, we have 2 vacancies, and that just, it basically would affect quorum, but it's still 7, so. You could direct staff to amend, to bring you language.
Can you add that to your list?
Well, but if we change the planning board is actually an ordinance.
It's an ordinance.
So if we change any rules of the planning board, that's going to affect the ordinance.
Yes.
Yes, there are 2 specific items in the ordinance that describe what the planning board responsibility is. So yes, if there's going to be any changes to that, it also require a change.
Okay. We can continue with our motion and then make the ordinance change.
All in one lump. like-
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we don't have to change that, but the planning board right now is at 6 people.
Can we, I withdraw my motion if you want to handle it all at one time. As long as we're not gonna appoint more than, just like Sue said, as long as we're not gonna appoint more than 7 members, it's not gonna matter. If you wanna handle all of it at one time.
I don't think it matters. I mean, to me, one decision that you make today
It's just
about
one thing,
rules
I'm
is
just
one step closer to
Yeah.
being the process.
Checking things off.
So I don't think it's a problem. So,
So we do have a motion on the floor
just a second.
and a second. We've had discussion. So I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of changing the planning board to a 7-member board, say aye. Aye. Opposed? There's one thing on the floor. Okay.
I'm sorry, can I clarify? How you voted, Mr. Osborne?
I voted for.
For.
Are there other low hanging fruit we can try to answer? I don't know, I'm just trying to,
I would like to see the chairman of the boards have to take attendance and be able to recommend a removal of a person on the board. If their attendance is not, attendance or I will say participation is not expected.
Adequate.
and how about even if they don't feel like being the tattletale, they could they go through their board liaison, for lack of a better word, their board liaison. So like so-and-so's not calling them out, but they could mention it to whoever their staff member is, and you all could bring it to it.
So that brings, like you said, board liaison, and I know in the past, we had council members who were appointed to a specific board, not necessarily to participate, but to be at the meetings. I know that's kind of fell to the wayside. I'd like to see that brought back in some form as a part of this, whether it's we appoint a person to a specific board, or whether it's, 2 council members once a quarter go to each board's meeting, we rotate that. That way every committee gets to see different council members throughout the year. Every council member gets to attend a different meeting throughout the year, so that there's a better relationship and continuity between the boards and council. And I think that would be a big benefit to seeing that process and having that direct line of communication continue.
I think that that's a good idea. Because not only does it help the lodger understand the planning board issues, but it also lets him bring those back to the council. Now, I agree, is that maybe we need to have 2 council members assigned to the planning board, or whatever. Is that, I think that that's a good idea, is that we used to do that years and years ago. But I think is that, I forgot what was Randy with you, what about the chairman, is that if the chairman of the committee sees Roger as a planning board member, not showing up for 3 meetings, okay, maybe whoever, Sue or whoever the staff person is, says, "What? What's the matter?" It's kind of like an unexcused absence from school.
Which FYI, we do track excused versus unexcused absences.
Unexcused is just not showing up. Excused is that Roger had a heart attack.
Excused is if they contact either the chair or the staff liaison prior to the meeting.
Yes.
Which that can be, I just don't want to come to the meeting, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to be there tonight. Well, that's excused. I mean, you don't say it, so I think there needs to be some.
Right.
I think the chairman ought to be able to have some sort of leeway about
Yes,
whether
Some-
whether it's a productive member of the board.
some discretion.
I'm not calling the names, but I saw somebody on the planning board sit for 2 years, the planning board meetings, and never said a word. So, you got to participate.
But I think it should be that chairman that comes to the town council and not a staff person. Comes to the council and says, you know, Roger skipped out on 3 meetings. I haven't heard from him. He won't call me. I tried to call him and so forth. He's done.
I agree with basically everything that's been said on this particular issue. I think it's a terrific idea. I really think this is a good way for communications to improve between council and the various boards, because we'll have a councilman present at Parks and Rec meetings, for example. That councilman can come back, brief the other council members on what's happening. And just as a, for instance, we had a number of people from the Parks Committee come present tonight and tell us that we made a mistake by hiring a maintenance person instead of a program. Well, in retrospect, I tend to agree. But I think if we had, I also feel like there was some information that I was missing when we made that decision. So I think that having a council person who in our meetings, this is what happened at the Parks Committee meeting and catching everybody up on what's going on and what's important and what they're working on and what we need to be looking forward to is very important. So with that said, Daniel, do you have any recommendations on duration and liquor? Let's say that Mayor Davis, let's say that she has the power to make appointments, assigns each of us to a board or what have you. What type of rotation is typical? Is that something that happens in every municipality? Is that typical? Is that something that where people rotate over 3 months or every 6 months or every year, or how does that work?
It is common practice in municipalities. I would recommend council be appointed to whatever board is committed for at least a year. So they can really get to know what's going on with the committee. 6 months, I think, would be probably the max I would recommend. I would recommend for that. It also kind of depends on what the rules that you guys set up for yourselves is. Is that person going to be participating at those meetings at Parks and Rec or Ag or what have you, or they're simply going to be there to observe? If it's purely observation, I don't think that there's a limit that you have to set. I think if you want to do it every 3 months, every quarter or so, you can certainly do that.
I think if we did a whole year at a time and a whole term for a council member, you may not get every board,
That's true.
you know? So I think a shorter rotation. I mean, obviously these quarterly, if there was a quarterly meeting, that you're not gonna get a whole lot, but the monthly meeting for, you know, if you did 3 or 4, you have a fairly good sense, and then the topic's gonna change from, you know, if Brian's year 1 and I don't catch it till year 4, you know, they're totally different things going on. At least we'd all kind of stay more current if we rotated it a little more often.
And considering that, and I think 3 months is perfectly reasonable for you to, that we kind of get those committees, you know, what the topics are. They do change monthly, often, but there's usually common themes. So being there for that long, there's usually chance to learn that, and of course, before that, describe.
So,
The reality is,
I'm sorry.
sorry. I was just gonna comment, these are people that we go in the meeting once, and so
Well,
a couple of council
Except
members.
for
should
you,
have
you
done-
can't go to
right, exactly.
Oh, sorry.
But if a couple of council members, let's say that I had been attending Parks meetings and there's some stuff that I was really interested in and rotated and Roger was now on Parks, I could continue to go and just catch up and observe, and I think that would be perfectly fine. So I think we've got a lot of leeway, you know, in terms of what we can do this. I'm fine.
There are attendance rules with open meetings if, you know, if Roger and Randy are in person at a board adjustment meeting, but Brian and I are on Zoom? It's kind of
Not a
murky.
bad idea.
Okay, so even virtually attending.
Particularly if you're gonna participate in any way.
I mean, just, okay, so not even observing.
Specifically for a quasi-judicial discussion. Yeah, you don't want to be, it's okay to have two people here, but you don't want to have a third or fourth.
No, there were some of y'all came in person to some of the last meetings.
Yeah. So, oh, wait, Jim.
No, that was my question.
So when we had these issues with the planning board, I was here, Randy was here, and I think that Brian Kimball and maybe Brian Cassidy was on Zoom. So is that, so if they get on the planning board, so the planning board has a regularly advertised meeting, that also means that the council, a majority of the council, can attend but not participate. Is that correct?
It's a public meeting, you guys don't have the public, so I think, yes, that's probably okay. But it's just for the year,
I know where you're going with this, but if you participate in any way in the discussion, then council is holding a meeting if a forum is present. And it's an unadvertised council.
Okay, so an unadvertised council meeting. So does that mean that council is not, if a majority of the council is in attendance at a planning board meeting, but they do not participate? Okay? Me and Randy sit over here on the side of the thing, didn't say a single word during the planning board. I think Brian Kimball was on Zoom. So going back to what Daniel said, we did not participate, but you have to be careful because we're council members. I understand that.
And Daniel is absolutely 100% correct. You should not all be there, whether it's on Zoom or in the room or whatever, because it is, as an unadvertised council meeting, it's in violation of the open meetings law. And it's town business that you're there for. You're not participating in the meeting. When I say that, that's, if you're all going to show up, please do not participate in the meeting, but you're really not supposed to all be.
Okay, so,
Sorry,
You can take some for me.
I was just gonna mention that, Shay and I attended small government training together after we were both elected. And their recommendation was, if you walk into a room and you're doing any kind of government business, you see two other council members and you turn around and walk out. That's the safest way to play it. Now, in terms of the planning board issue, the board adjustments, we were all interested in observing and watching the outcome. I will tell you, I did not watch that on Zoom because I didn't want to be a participant in the meeting. I watched it on Facebook and I don't use Facebook, but I watched it on Facebook so that I could observe it live without interacting with it.
And I did the same, just so I could turn it on and listen to what was going on while I was going to go. Just so I knew what was going on.
so in your public notice, we're still picking on the planning board. Can't you amend the notice that a majority of the council may attend?
If we know you're going to be there,
The what, I'm sorry,
if we know you're going to be there,
is that I never know where I'm gonna be till I hear before I'm there. So my point is, you've got to do the public notice anyway for the planning board.
you're suggesting that we advertise for all of our boards, that at any of them, that count, a majority of council may be present, though not taking any action?
Yes. And then that way is that covers your public notice. And so if me and Randy and Brian Kimball sit here at the planning board meeting, not participating, but we're still covered. Is that fair?
Does someone then have to take minutes if council members are whispering to each other? I don't know, what does that run into?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, if you start speaking to each other in any way, there's any chance of government business being done.
But if you have the town.
And yes, it's a council meeting and someone should be taking minutes.
Yeah, but you can have a council meeting if you're not careful, down Mills or the restaurant.
And that would be considered a social situation and it's exempt.
So is that if me and Randy's having lunch at the restaurant, I know that there's 14 different exemptions for situations. And Brian Kimball walks in and he sits down beside Randy, so there's 3 of us. So that would be tentatively an illegal meeting.
I think Councilman Caskey it said it best, one of you should leave.
So if we do start going to some of these meetings, hang on this Zoom thing is, Zoom and Facebook meetings are here to stay. So we're going to be continuing to broadcast these. So, sounds to me like that we should not participate under any circumstances at any of the meetings that we attend, first off. And we definitely need to coordinate, like they said, about how who's going to do it. And
So where's our right of just being a regular person?
I think we probably do that.
Well said. Well, I'm wondering, that brings a good point. I think the issue is if you have simultaneous communications.
That's right.
That's the measure.
We're stalking on Facebook.
If you're watching
What
on
about it?
Facebook, you do not have simultaneous communications, you're only listening.
Right.
So maybe as a part of this audio video overhaul that we're going to do is that the town creates a streaming service on our website that's just streaming, and then a council member can go to the website and they can listen to the meeting. And then that way we're out of the simultaneous.
That was awful big scribble, Sue. What was that?
Oh, and I started to
It was
write
a big
something.
That's an angry scribble.
No. And that was very well said. Boils it down very succinctly.
That was a good word.
If I could say it.
Repeat this whole thing.
That's a SAT word, right?
Okay, so does that give you all some direction? We kind of have, well, what else are we looking for?
I think the only thing that we've ever had discussions amongst ourselves about was
Not-
balance of boards.
Not more than 1 or 2.
The only thing that I'll ask for clarification is, we've heard comments from all of you this evening. Is there general consensus that we should do all of that stuff? I don't want to come back and Brian say, well, I didn't want that, but I wanted this.
I think what Roger's wanting a copy of all the current rules for all the boards.
Yes, and let me just read the list that I
Go
have.
for it.
So I have on the top of the list, a list of all the boards' responsibilities, so which that person serves, who takes minutes, who's responsible for the meeting, the chair. And then each committee has its own set of rules and procedures. They should have a policy on absenteeism that should be consistent across the board. Sample charter to include rules and procedure in the policy on absenteeism. Planning board is set of numbers now. The chairman should keep attendance and report to council if there is someone who's not participating or is constantly absent. And then, desire to have council involved in the board committee, and whether it be 2 at a time or what have you, to serve on each board or to be at each board meeting. sum it up.
is that these rules, regulations, and charter, is that they need to be the same. Because is that if we have a problem, and then is that we can look at one set of rules and regulations and say, okay, Joe is chairman, you're right. Oh, no, is that it's this other committee. Oh, so we gotta flip a page. Does that make sense?
So if they bring us all the, different committee rules and regulations, if they're all different, we can kind of pick the one we like, to
Yes.
apply the one we all like to everyone.
Yes,
So let's not rewrite,
right,
everything, just bring us what we already have,
yes.
pick and choose.
One of that.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Are you talking about, Brian, about, like, are we gonna keep kind of district by, so that's something we need to decide.
What was that?
Like, we're gonna choose committee members
Balance the
by,
boards.
how we balance them, by district, by what?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So I got a question there. So, sure, take the planning board. There's only 7 members. There's 5 of us. How do you do that? There's 3 districts.
So 2 members from each district, and then whoever the 7th person is who gets the lucky draw of districts and gets that person, then I guess that district is. We just say there has to be a minimum of 2 people from each district.
Quick synopsis of what I've written down as sort of an outline for this, if we were voting session, is that we would draw a name out of a hat, and whoever that person is would go first in terms of making a nomination.
This is the council.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then I would draw another thing out of the hat that would say council left or council right. And if it's council left, then I'm gonna say Brian Caskey goes first, and then we'll go to Shay, and then we'll go to Randy, and then you, Roger, that time, Kimball. And then, so then you go back to Brian Caskey, Brian nominates someone, and then the board deliberates on whether or not they want to appoint that person, takes a vote, then move on to Shay. Shay nominates someone. Presumably, these are from your respective districts, and then you two then on the end would be able to appoint whoever you like, regardless of district. And then, yes, that would leave a couple of people with, I guess, 2 votes to fill 7 seats. But what's yet to be decided, I guess, is you want to formalize it that if you're in District 2, that you have to appoint the District 2. Or is it up to you to decide how much district you want to
I
appoint?
think at least one of our appointments should be.
I think from my standpoint, I'm not concerned about, you're talking about the process, I'm talking about like rules of board. That on the planning board, there needs to be at least 2 members from each district at a minimum. Or setting some rule like that so that the boards are off balance as far as representation. But that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
The process of how we pick them up.
So Brian and David. So if we put 7 people on the board, theoretically, you could have you could have 4 people from District 3 or 4 people from District 1. Or 4 people from District 2.
We make a rule that,
I think that's why we're saying we need to create a rule that says a minimum of two people from each district need to serve on the board. That gives you
So once
2
all-
times 3 is 6.
once all of District
and
2
then-
is picked, you can't nominate a District 2 person. Now you gotta nominate from District
All
1 or
right, so what is the maximum of 2 people from each district? Is that what you're saying?
No minimum.
minimum.
Minimum? Okay,
So one
Yeah.
district's gonna have 3.
that is it. We pick on the planning board, let's pick on Shay. So Shay would pick 2 people from District 3. Is that correct?
You're referring to the process of how we're picking. I'm referring to just.
The composition of the board.
I don't care how we pick them. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about 5 years down the road, when we go to appoint somebody on a committee, We look at the committee and say, there's 2 people from District 2, there's 2 people from District 1, there's 2 people from District 3. Okay, it can come from any district. If there's 3 people from District 2 and 1 from District 1 and 2 from District 2, that's it. The person has to come from District 1.
So wouldn't that just roll us right back into the problem that we have now? Is that you may have, let's talk about the recreation board. Sorry, Joe. Is that they pick on the family board. So they've got 5 members on the Parks and Recreation. Is it, 7? Okay. So you could get more people from the Boston area than you could from the High Vista people. So what are we accomplishing by not, Randy, or you picking one person from District 2, Riley picking one person from District 1, Shay picking, is that, you see what I'm saying, is that we'll be in the same boat
We're
I
still having
agree.
2 conversations here.
that we're in
Yeah.
now.
It's 2 different conversations.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You're referring to
You're-
how you're picking.
Yes,
I'm saying a rule for the committees that says a minimum of 2 people from each district,
Regardless of how they get there.
regardless of how they get there. That way it's a balanced board.
And there's only 3 districts, so 2, 2, and 2, and 2. And then there will be if it's a 7-member committee, there will be, one district will have 3 members. But no district's gonna have 4 in one.
Because the way it is now, you could have, I mean, the rules now, you could have all 7 people from one district.
so,
We have tried to keep them,
Correct.
we have tried to mix it up internally with our appointments.
Right.
But he's just talking about setting a precedent that, or just a rule.
is it, I guess I'm not understanding this. So is that, Brian, is that, I think that we need to go by districts. Is that fair?
I think you're saying that we pick by district, right?
Yes.
I'm
Is
fine
that,
with that. Yeah.
is that, what I'm thinking is that each district person, you, Brian, and Shay, pick a person from each district. Is that right?
From our respective districts.
Okay. And then Randy and I, we can pick from anywhere each, we can pick across
Across all districts.
across the 3 districts.
So once one of the districts has, we have to make sure at least every district has 2 representatives.
Okay, so,
So if I pick District 3 and Brian picks District 1 and Brian picks District 2, you both can then pick District,
there you go.
hold on, how's that work?
If you pick district, if I pick 2 from district, if she picks 2 from District 1, you can't nominate somebody from District 1. You could. No, sorry.
Because that works,
So-
yeah, that works.
So you're limiting my choice.
We're not, well, you're the one who gave me the district choice, just a minute ago.
Is that,
We're not talking, I think we're talking about 2 different things.
okay,
Okay, you're talking about how we're gonna pick that. And no one, I'm not concerned about that right now, okay? So don't worry about how we're gonna select the people on the committees. That's not what we're talking about. What I'm saying is, on each committee, you have 7 members. Should each district on that committee be represented equally? Do you think each?
absolutely.
Okay, that's what my rule is saying, is that there should be 2 people from each district. So that's 6 people, right?
Right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Correct, but we're not appointing 2 people. When you elected to run at large, you gave up your right to pick by district.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we do what Daniel said,
Right.
pick Rod Kimball's name out of the hat.
Mhm.
Is that, he can pick somebody from District 3, is that right?
No, I think what we're saying is If you want to do your rules where I think everybody's okay with that, I'll pick people from District 2. You'll pick people from District 1. Shay will pick people from District 3. You guys can pick in whatever district you want to.
So
As long as,
As long-
as long as it is equal to 2 people from each district.
okay, so there's 5 of us.
Right.
So,
So my district is going to have 3.
so is it, do I get to pick 2? Huh?
Depends on where we start.
Depends on how your name gets drawn.
Okay, is Brian Kimball, or Brian, not Brian? Is it, somebody gets to pick 2?
It's
And somebody
random.
only picks
It's gonna be
1.
random.
It's random. It's random.
That's what Daniel referred to, picking the name out of the hat. Let's say that Shay is selected. She gets the first pick. Oh, draft, right? You draft football players, or, when the NFL decide who's gonna draft, or the NBA would be a good example, because they have a lottery. But if Shay's name comes out of the hat, she would pick first. Then Daniel would draw another card out that determines which direction. So either I would pick next and go this way, then move back to you, or we go that way and move back to him. So I think in terms of who would end up with,
The extra bit.
the extra choices, it's completely random.
Could be you.
Just because it's completely random, somebody on the town council, which we're supposed to be equal, is going to give, at least 2 people, is going to give a vote to nominate or to put somebody on the committee. Is that right?
No,
Yes or no?
4 people would actually give up a third choice.
All right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we do 5 people? Pick on the planning board. Each person, each council member gets to pick a person of their choice to put on the planning board. If that don't work, then the whole council has to agree on the other 2 people down the road.
So each person would get their pick, and then the remaining 2 will decide as a council.
Down the road is that if the 5 people on the planning board don't, is that if, I think Brian Caskey said a minute ago, is that normally it's what, 7 people? Did you say that?
7 people on the planning board.
Okay. So why don't we try with 5, and that gives every person on the town council the right to choose 1 person.
So what do we do with the other 2 slots?
You what?
The other 2 slots, how are we going to fill them?
Is that, let's don't fill them.
Well, just a minute ago, you wanted 9 people on, but now you're saying you want 5.
No, I didn't say I wanted 9. I don't know that I want 7.
Not to complicate this, but really. When you're each choosing someone, would the board vote to approve? Is it a nomination or is it an appointment?
That's my preference, because what if I pick somebody who is completely unacceptable to everybody else said? I mean, I would not want that. I don't think that's fair. I think that's giving me way too much power, and I think it would ultimately make every other board member unhappy if I pick someone who's just absolutely unacceptable.
So Brian nominates someone, we all, if we need to discuss it, we can discuss, but we all agree that we're happy with Brian's choice. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Or have a consensus.
Or not. Or not. You can vote on that person.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, if my choice got voted down, I guess I would just simply select somebody else or lose my turn or whatever. I think we figured it out.
Really board thing.
So what happens if we, whatever. So say we get down and somebody from District 3 resigns. And all the applications that we have, there's no more District 3s, but we have rules in place that says there must be 2 from District 3.
We've held out before, waiting on applications. We we've had vacancies and
So
stayed
you leave
vacant.
it vacant?
We've done it in previous committees and years that we've not had, either not had applications or maybe nobody was super thrilled about the applications we had. And so we just kept looking for one.
I mean, I'm all for equal representation. I think that when I look at the composition of the boards, District 1 traditionally has been severely underrepresented.
Over here, over
Right. And it's nobody's fault. It's just, again, the dynamic nature of the way that applications come in. But my question for Dan, since you work for other municipalities and that sort of thing, you connected with other town managers and that sort of thing. So you've seen other boards and how they work. Is what we're proposing here, is that unreasonable or unworkable in terms of requiring 2 members of each district?
Not at all, not totally.
Okay. All right, good.
he said, it's gonna get somebody out of the room.
What's next?
How about the terms?
Yes, that's something else, but what I was just gonna add was that if you try this and it just doesn't work and you can't fill the seat, council has set the rule. Council can change the rule.
I'm just a little bit nervous about leaving the even number back on the planning board, because lately they have several split votes and whatnot. I don't want to see them coming up. I need one. I don't care how we do it.
So you want to provide, obviously ask staff for some information. Do you want to just kind of process this and circle back to it?
Yeah, I think we're confused. I think these are so. My question was about terms. Does anybody have a thought on? So if we like nominate everyone in August, does everyone come up for reappointment 2 years from now in August, or do we need to stagger those? Or so how do we decide how to stagger?
I think if it's somebody who's being reappointed to the board, they just continue to.
Keep their current,
term.
okay, current date. And then the new ones will have the new date.
Right.
And 2 year terms, everyone's happy with?
Yep.
Or we could revisit every 1 year.
I'm okay with
He's so much, let's get a
The
meeting.
Board of Adjustment is 3 years as per the ordinance,
Okay, so if we wanted,
but everything else is 2 years. Yes, that's something to consider if you end up coming.
if we try to uniformly have a uniform rules, would that be part of that?
Yes, you would change the order.
So if we set all the rules that all the committees are 2 years, then that.
Ryan, is that, I see the mentality behind this, and I agree with it. Is that I really don't want to see 3 people from District 1 or 3 people from District 3. Is that I think that the boards need to be as even as we can get them. And Brian, you may come and go, I agree with that. So I'm all for trying to make these boards more balanced. I don't want the Boston people to dictate, I don't pick on you, the high business people, or vice versa. Is that I want to see the boards as even as we can get them. I want each council member is that if they have somebody that they want to put on there, that's fine. That should be their right. Now, how do we get from here to here? I think that is the big question, to make it fair among the people out there and the people in here. That's all I'm looking for.
To answer one part of your question, one district will, on a 7-member board, have 3.
That's right.
So, if we can keep it, the boards as balanced as possible, and I think Brian's suggestion takes care of that. I think that's a net positive. So I'm all for it.
Are we all overwhelmed? Is there other things we can want staff to bring back to us? Is this a pretty good start?
I think that gets through.
Congrats on that. Okay, two staff updates. Sound clerk.
I don't have much, but I did want to point out to you that the proclamation you approved declaring July Park Month was written by your deputy clerk, Patty Brown. It was her first one. And she did her first council minutes and presented those to you this last time as well. So I'm really proud of the progress she's making.
Very good.
All right, Nicole, what do you have from the park?
Just real quick, one of our board yard in July, Judge Maker, so I'm up here in this room. Once again, we're going really well. You can see today, August the 8th, Portage in the Park will be back in person. Roger's doing. I'm getting it. Because of August 8th is my birthday, so that's, stay here. We can just catch up with you. But I party in the park and we did receive that bike helmet grant this year, so the town will be giving away the bike helmets, for the attendants. And we're going 125 people this year. So it's really exciting. I don't know if you've all been to the back part of the park, but we have a memorial bench donated that has recently been installed. It's a swinging bench and we got a lot of really great feedback on it. So yeah, in fact, I vote most, we definitely check that out. Other than that, just a quick update on our river restoration project. Our permit's been submitted and we still expect to put it out to bid next month. So we're excited about that. That's all I got.
Question. On these box cameras,
Yes,
I think you said you had 100,
I think 125,
how many do you normally give out?
all of them, usually run out
in
before
the
that.
hour.
Then the
Okay. How many kids do you normally have, roughly? Just an estimate.
I bet we could give away to
How much-
250 moments.
how much on?
We received through a grant and there's something, so I don't know the cost. So, yeah, I guess it would.
They're nice helmets, and based on my experience coming out to the party park and helping fit kids for helmets and that sort of thing, I would say she was 100% accurate in terms of, we could probably give out twice as many as we have. And it's a little bit of a problem because kids come early, they get the helmets, and kids come later don't. That said, the helmets come to us free through the grant from DOT that we applied for a couple years ago. So I don't know how much they cost, but they're nice helmets.
Are they like a brand? What brand is it?
Mike, I think.
I mean, Bell.
Bell?
So just on Amazon, anywhere from probably like the Chinese brand, $16 to 25, 30 for like a swing or Bell.
Now, you know me, I never agree with anything. But this is a good program. So when is this helmet giveaway? Can you do some research quickly about us appropriating some money to buy some more? Is there anything that we can do like this? I think it's a big thing. So is that even we need to send some email?
I don't think we'll need it for that.
We can pull from contingency, buy those helmets if we need to. I mean, strong desire to do that. So money will be available.
I would, well. So do you want to make a motion on this?
Well,
Just give her a budget or something? or-
Just give her enough limit.
Well, actually, I just asked her a question.
Are you guys about to do that?
Yes.
I mean, we just put $10,000 back in the general fund, but that came from basically the park budget anyway, so.
Hey,
It's a good motion.
yeah,
Ron.
Different, you're talking about different fiscal years.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right. I'm not saying don't fund them, I'm just saying $10,000 with this business.
Yeah.
Well, today's, well, Amazon like today. I promise.
Is that? Would you mind if I make a motion? I make a motion that the council allocate. What did it say? $3,000 to buy bicycle helmets
Many of you can,
for this night.
I'll second that. All those in favor of spending up to $3,000 for bicycle helmets, aye. No opposed. You've got discounts during the like the park, like a bulk thing. I mean, Amazon one at a time.
Look, you know, so we left on our first, meeting, the one of our first, we also went to the race track, so it's definitely worth a lot to see.
Now, hang on a minute. Buy one, get one free.
That's a good deal.
Thank you, Nicole. Report from the zoning administrator, Michael.
So this week, completed the preliminary review of the Mills River Fire Department headquarters site plan. So hoping to get some comments back from them. Also conducted preliminary and final reviews of the subdivision plat for cottages at Hayes Mill, 16 lots there. And did the final review of the subdivision plat for Mills River Crossing South. And then did 4 zoning permits this week and 12 last week. So finally getting caught up on those. Then you didn't want to do any more complicated stuff, but one of the other things I did, at the May 27th council meeting, council asked for a report on conditional zoning. And so I did put that together and some research, in a paper staff report, and Daniel or I can email out electronic version. Come on, if you all want to. I'll pass that out.
Some light reading for us.
Just some light reading, yeah.
Actually, it's pretty light. No, I don't know.
For zoning nerds.
Yeah. And no action necessary at this point, we're just trying to give some information, consider, and talk about site.
So,
Okay, I was gonna say, so this is official for the record?
so, Mabel, a question.
Sure.
So, some of the violations on the ordinances,
Mhm.
some ordinance violations
Mhm.
that we've had pending for, let's say, a year.
Mhm.
Are those being cleaned up, I guess, or,
We're slowly chipping away at it, yes. We're working.
okay.
All right, Daniel, you have updates for us?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. Brian Kimball mentioned, AV, I'm actually meeting with Bill next week for his room. So figuring out how we can improve this, so we can have permanent streaming and consistent audio. So that's happening, I believe it's on Monday or Tuesday, actually. We got confirmation on Tuesday, I believe, that the American Rescue Plan funds that we had anticipated receiving in June are going to be dispersed after July 1st. That's the amount of detail we got, is after July 1st. And I did send out an email request asking for a couple of modifications to council's calendar. We already canceled the first meeting in July. I would humbly request that you cancel the second meeting in July as well, as I will be out of town. That does leave us with 2 quick action items, something to take care of the taxes. It's a tax resolution to authorize the tax collector to collect taxes. And then the other one is a tax settlement report to show balance of unbudgeted funds for the current year. So I have suggested July 1st at 9 a.m. Should take just a matter of minutes, get it all back together.
We can do those. Zoom.
Yes, yeah, we'll be set up like we've done in the past. If you want to come here, you can do that. We can join online.
Will we be able to call in?
Yes. Yeah, we'll have phone set up.
I'm fine with that. The Thursday, next Thursday.
Cool.
9 a.m. I'll make a motion to set the special meeting, July 1st, 9 a.m.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
And
We cancel.
And we're canceling the 22nd,
22nd.
cancel the July 22nd meeting. Because of-
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Last thing I want to mention is Landon Sky Regional Council each year hosts a reception, basically to thank delegates who serve on the committee and recognize some of the new jobs that they serve, and they are planning to come to Mills River Park at the end of July. All of you will be invited to that. We don't have details in terms of time yet, but all the parks will be posted on that.
Is you gonna mention that the tax bill?
Yes, thank you. Let me find that for you. As we leave with the last meeting, there was a question about breaking out the tax bill to show what is actually paid towards the fire department and what is paid towards the town's taxes. As you are well aware, the fire department tax rate is 11 cents, the town is 8 cents. So Orly has been working with our accounting software folks to figure out a way to do that. It does seem possible. It'll take a little bit of custom work on the accounting software's behalf to make that happen. So we won't be able to do it for the upcoming year, but we fairly confident we can make it happen for next year. It would actually break out, wouldn't just show you the tax rates, it would break out if your house is worth X amount of money, how much is going towards the fire department, and how much is going towards town operations. So we're not 100% confident, but we have a high degree of confidence that we can make that work for next year.
The other question I have is, what about mowing the ditches? Plus, is that I've got a couple of complaints about not mowing the lower end. Is that, what is the status on the mowing of both out?
Well, we haven't run the dishes for some time now. I decided not to do that for environmental purposes, to keep the buffer there for the streams. And we typically bush hog the back field a couple times a year.
Yeah, the ideal time to do that, we have a lot of ground nesting birds. And so mid-July to mid-August is the optimal time to do that. For wildlife purposes.
Wow. So going to the ditches, is that we need to mow those. Because we've got a nice park, but those ditches are making it look ugly. Now, what is the deal with the environmental thing about?
So the more buffer you have on a collection like that, on a drainage ditch or any ditch for that matter, helps filter the water, helps slow it down, helps cool it off before it makes its way into the rivers. And so that's what's happening on a small scale of ditches, is that it's something with flooding, it's cooling the water down, it's something to filter the leaves out of it, which is all just natural process.
But we're not touching the water. All we're doing is that we've done it for 15 years. The thing that needs to be done as soon as possible. All right?
With council, we have a consensus on that. Let me go ahead and know those ditches.
I think that this should be part of normal maintenance. Is that I've done it. Wayne's not here, but he's done it.
Yeah.
Jason's done it. Also, is that we couldn't get nobody to do it, I think it was last year before last. So we hired the people that does roads and Green River. Is that you can mow those ditches, no matter how much water's in there.
Sure.
As long as the machinery don't touch the water.
Right, and it's certainly practical, that's not the question, it's really more a policy question.
Well, so we need to mow those.
Okay.
Is that, I think that's just considered part of normal maintenance.
I just want to say, anything that contributes to erosion, I'm opposed.
You know what?
Anything that contributes to erosion, blowing those ditches would do that, I'm opposed to. I don't know how the rest of the council feels, that's my opinion.
Well, it hasn't, it hasn't contributed, mowing the ditches has not contributed to erosion in the last 15 years. So I don't see why. Now, going to the bottom field, is that if you're a hay person, once that stuff comes up, starts budding, those buds fall off, they're gonna go into the ground. So pretty soon, he said, if you don't keep that stuff mowed, you're not gonna have no grass there. Because that rye, that barley, that broom sage is gonna take over. So before it gets knee high, it needs to be cut. And we just hired a maintenance person, so we want to have enough people.
We've not hired any person yet. We're working on it. We don't have them here yet.
So that needs to be done as soon as possible.
I don't have any thoughts either way, so whatever.
I certainly think it would look better and far. We would keep everything really nice and neat, and I think it would.
Right.
And, just my opinion, 2 cents.
All right, we finished the report?
Yes, that's all right.
Other council comments before our closed session?
I have one, I have received a complaint about a policy that we have in place, maybe it has to do with some, it's a certificate of understanding. I think I gave Daniel a heads up on why we require this. It's for when a property owner hires a surveyor to divide a piece of property, and then the surveyor has to take that back to the owner to get them to sign it before you can record it. So, I'll let Daniel speak to why we do this.
Sure. So the certificate of understanding was added to the subdivision standard back in 2011. And just bear with me a moment. I'm going to read it out loud so we'll know what we're talking about. This is what would go on the face of a plat for subdivision of land, for any subdivision of land. I hereby certify that I am the owner of the property located within the subdivision. Regulation jurisdiction of the town of Mills River as shown and described hereon. Being on record with the town of Mills River as following under plan. And that I hereby adopt this plan of subdivision. I understand that expansion of the subdivision may result in the upgrading of road infrastructure, utilities, additional right of way dedication, and other applicable requirements as required by the subdivision regulations, chapter 153, of the town of Mills River zoning code. All proposed roads in the subdivision will meet the minimum requirements outlined in 153 that the subdivision approved. And it has a place for a date and signature. And that's important for the plat review, because basically it ensures from the town's point of view that the owner is aware of the subdivision that's happening on their property. And they're also putting on record, which protects both them and the town, that they're aware of the fact that if something changes, they still have to comply with the town's subdivision standards in the future. So signatures from owners are not uncommon. It's not required by state law, but I think it's a good practice to have, acknowledgement that the property is aware that something is occurring on the property.
But the town has the county keeps the records at the courthouse.
That's right.
For recording deeds.
Mm-hmm.
And a landowner, if he's an out-of-town landowner, has to wait for the surveyor to send them the plat to get it notarized for them to sign it and send it back. It just creates another bureaucracy step. It's really not necessary because the county takes care of all the recording of deeds and everything else.
That's right, yeah, the county records the plats, the town does sign off on them as, because it has the subdivision ordinance, that's a requirement that is reviewed and approved by the town. It doesn't require notarization if the plat is signed. If they're not able to sign the plat, then they can file basically an affidavit with the plat recorded. And we've seen a lot of folks now go fully electronic with plat review and subdivision. And they email the plat for signatures. So most of the time, Mike's been doing a lot lately, but it's been when we review that the signature is not visual. It doesn't require printing of the plats. I believe Madison County accepts electronic plats for recreation.
No other, to the best of my knowledge, no other municipality in the town, in Anderson County requires this, but why?
Does anybody remember the reason? Does anyone here? Do you
We
remember?
talked about this in the past. I told them today, I can't remember if it came up planning board or, I guess it probably did, in the last 2 years. I thought we had decided to do away with it, but obviously it's not good.
I don't know, I think it could happen to the planning board, in years prior. This amendment was done back in 2011. So it's been on the books for a decade now.
Well, I'll make a motion that we do away with this certificate of understanding requirement for home flats. Down the road.
I had a surveyor call me today and just bent my ear. And this guy has done work. in Mills River all his life. He's actually done work for the town of Mills River. And so, I don't know what he told you, but I just sat there for 10 minutes and listened to him.
They're licensed by the state.
Right.
And it's just a step that the town doesn't need to be in. my opinion.
So I'll second Randy's motion.
I can just interject, that would require an ordinance change. I think. Correct. Okay.
Well, is that? So this council had to approve it to become an ordinance.
It's not this council, the 2011 council.
Did we do that?
Yes.
When?
2011.
Okay. So. So let's go ahead and draft up our ordinance. Well, as soon as you vote.
So motion and a second to eliminate eliminate the ordinance or rewrite the ordinance?
It's eliminate the certificate of understanding, modification, chapter 153.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor? Why? Opposed? So we're ayes.
They're on.
Only got eyes for you.
Thank you, Brian.
Other council comments?
I just wanted to make one quick comment. I came here from French Quarter the other day, which over 3.5 hours. In addition to reading an 85-page packet. And the reason it went so long is because, believe it or not, they had protesters there who were opposed to the new Pratt Whitney plant that's opening up in, I guess, the Bank Creek area. And at any rate, they called us all kinds of names as we walk in and everything else, and told us we're baby killers and we're going to kill them, Asian babies and brown babies and everything else. And that's neither here nor there. But it was interesting because it was a new experience for me. But at any rate, one of the useful pieces of information that came out, and this applies to the last meeting that we had, that Shay asked a question about the Butler Bridge project and when that was going to be completed and actually let. And I didn't have a good answer for her, but I will soon, because as of June 30th, the DOT will have a revised schedule and cost estimates for every project in the entire state of North Carolina. So by our next meeting, I should have better estimates on one widening, rate improvements, and all of these projects that we've kind of been watching drag out a little bit, but we'll have a better idea of what they're actually going to construction. That's all I have.
Just Brian, just to add a little bit to that, as of today.
Yeah.
The guardrail project on Butler Bridge Road that the town funded is out. The project was left on June 8th. There was only two projects, the Butler Bridge Road project and the Turnpike Road project, up there past Boylston Creek. Well, now is involved in the 4 projects. So they have scheduled their 30-day contractors, people, whatever you want to call it. And so is that, as of today, they're supposed to have all 4 projects finished by late summer, early fall. Also, you can update for the Borston Creek Bridge down there on the Turnpike Road. DOT has assigned a bridge engineer to look at moving that bridge downstream. And I said, why that? He said, so that way, we're not interrupting traffic as they go through. We can build a new bridge, do the road realignment. And he said, I don't have no cost estimates right now. So the guy said, Rob, you gonna pay for that? I said, no. So he said, so he's supposed to come back to us with some cost estimates. Danny.
Okay, want to make a motion to go, go into closed session?
I make a motion, we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina statute, section 143.318.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Council, we'll get that in.
I'm up on the back.
Fancy square candy dishes. Fancy this.
I had to think twice about the motion for you.
I wonder.
You're not the other.
I guess better if we wheels in the ass, so.
Thank you, Randy.
We're still on.
That would- you could recommend. Don't be assigning her, assignment. So, I'll agree now. She's good.